In this integration video, we will be showing how you can integrate AWS Cognito to allow social authentication when you are using Arcana Auth. So let's start straight away by jumping into the dashboard and configuring it. So I have opened up the dashboard in the browser. Yeah, so we're in the dashboard. You can create a new app, and if you don't know how to configure the dashboard, then please check out our integration video that's given in the description. Okay, so I've already created an application called as integration. I'll just open it up, and here it is. This is the testnet. So we want to configure what all social login auth options are available. I'll click on the social auth option on the left pane. And at the left panel, after opening this, you will see multiple social login options. So this video is on how you can integrate AWS Cognito. So we need two things to set up AWS Cognito, that is client ID and the Cognito user pool domain. Okay, so to fetch this, you need to get the client ID and the pool domain by configuring it in the AWS console. So for that, you can check out our documentation on how to configure that, or else you can follow this video right now. I'll show you how to do that. So you can visit the AWS console that you have and open up Cognito. Okay, so you can open up the Cognito, and once you have opened up Cognito, you can click on the user pool. And if you don't have a user pool, then you can create a pool here. So I've already created a pool here. I'll click on the pool name that's available. And once you have opened up the pool, what we need to do is we have to go to the app integration section. And after you go to the app integration section, scroll down and come to the bottom where you will see app client list. In this app client list, you can create a new app client if you don't have any app clients, or if you have already one, then you can just choose to continue with that. I'll just show you how you can create a new app client and configure that. After you click on create app client, you will see multiple options on what you want, what type of application you want: public, confidential, other. So I'll choose public. Enter the app client name. I will just say auth Cognito demo, and I'll ask you what type of client secret you want. I'll select that I don't want to generate a client secret, and then it will show you what all authentication flows you want. You only want the allow refresh token auth flow. So we'll just keep that and remove the rest of them. Okay, the rest you can leave as it is. And when you come to the bottom, it will ask you in the hosted UI settings what all callback URLs are allowed. So it's basically asking for a URL. Okay, so we can get this URL by switching back to a dashboard, and on the top right corner you will see a redirect URI that starts with verify.beta.arcana. Just copy this, switch back to our console, and paste it here. But while pasting it here, make sure you clear this HTTPS, because we already have that HTTPS in our link that we have copied. Okay, so I've pasted this here, and then in the identity provider section, make sure you have Cognito user pool. If you don't have, then choose it from the drop down menu. And in the OAuth 2.0 grant type, make sure you have authorization code grant selected, or else make sure that you choose it from the drop down menu. And finally, in the OpenID connect scopes, make sure OpenID and email is present. Okay, email ID is important. You want to make sure that email ID is present. Rest you can ignore. Okay, you can choose that from the email section. Okay, and then make sure from the custom scopes you have email selected, and in the attribute read and write permissions, make sure that email has read access. Okay. After all this configuration is done, you can choose to create app client. And if you want to go through this once again, make sure to check out the documentation where it is given with a descriptive flow and screenshots pointing out to what all configuration changes need to be made. Okay, let's create this app client. And that's it. We have created the app client. So you can choose basically the client ID of the app client that you have created. Okay, I'll just copy it and come back to our dashboard and paste it here. So now it asks for the user pool URL. That's the domain. You can just get this domain by scrolling up, and on the top you will see in the domain section the Cognito domain. Just copy this and come here. Before pasting, you have to observe there is a message that you have to copy paste the link without HTTPS. So after paste, just remove this and save it. So that's it. We have configured the dashboard to support Cognito as one of the social auth mechanisms. Now let's set up our project for Cognito. Next, how can we integrate this while we are coding in the programming part? Okay, so for this, I've already set this up and I've wrote the code, how we can import the package, how we can create an instance. So we have passed here basically the client ID that we get from the dashboard, then how we initialized our Auth SDK. If you don't know how to do this, then you can check out our integration video that's given in the description. The link to that is given there. So there are two ways in which we can log in into the application when you have Arcana Auth integrated. One is through the connect modal. Okay, when you click this connect button that works because of the function called as connect, pops up a modal with multiple login options like passwordless, social auth, consisting of Google, Twitter, Twitch, and AWS Cognito. So you can use that method. Or else if you want the users to directly log in using the AWS Cognito method, then you have login with social function, where you have to pass the parameter, what sort of auth mechanism you're using. Like if you're using Google, then you have to pass Google as a parameter. Right now we are using AWS Cognito, so I'm passing AWS as the parameter. So pass AWS as a parameter to this function called as login with social, and I've created this async function called as social login. And I've also added an alert that we have successfully logged in using AWS. And to call this function in the front end, I've created a code with a button called as AWS login also. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we'll check out how this looks in the browser. Okay. So in the browser, you can see right now we have two options. One is the connect modal. If I click here, it opens up a modal with passwordless login option and social login. We have only set up AWS Cognito. That's why you see this AWS Cognito as an option. So if I click here, it'll open up a window and I can sign in using AWS Cognito. Or else what I can do is I can choose to directly do the AWS Cognito login by clicking this button. So if I click here, you can see the window has popped up. So I'll type my email ID and I'll show you how this login works. Okay, so I haven't created an account, sorry. So I'll just create an account quickly. Just type in my email address. And sign up. So this will send a verification code. I'll just go and check. Yeah, so this is a verification code. Please stay here and confirm the account. Yeah, so we have logged in successfully using AWS. That's the message you can see right now. Okay, and you can see in the bottom right corner, the wallet also is visible. Yeah, so that is how you do the integration for Arcana Auth in your application or in your dApp using AWS Cognito. If you want your users to use AWS Cognito as one of the social auth mechanisms, so you can follow this video. Thank you.